This award is given to a staff member or a volunteer who keeps on going. It is sponsored by Bayview Financial with Mr. Chip Brittingham and Mr. Wayne Humphreys. Thank you so much for being here. So our November Energizer Bunny is Miss Jean Cardwell. I'd ask her to come up, and Mr. Matt Evans, who sponsored this nomination, if he would come up as well. So this award is being presented to Jean, who is an administrative secretary for the Student Services. Jean is the behind-the-scenes magician that keeps the Office of Student Services running. The beginning of every school year is hectic, and this year was certainly no exception. Regardless of the obstacles, Jean is diligent and works with all schools to ensure the student enrollment count is up to date and accurate by September 30th deadline. With all the other challenges this school year has brought, Jean coordinated the collection and screening of student records selected by the biannual MSDE funding audit that took place during the month of September, the most hectic month. While coordinating these two major tasks, Jean continued to process and monitor home instruction, assist with school health and alternative education, provide requested transcripts to alumni and of all ages, and process home hospital and out-of-area attendance zone requests, and entered and tracked data on our homeless and kinship families. Whew, it's a lot. Jean's energy and dedication to the students and families of Queen Anne's County Public School is greatly appreciated and deserving of the Energizer Bunny. So congratulations. The Shining Star Award. This award recognizes someone or group of people in our school system who shine. November Shining Stars are the Queen Anne's County Public School nursing staff. And I'm going to go through and name each one, even though all of them are not present today, this evening. So we'd like to recognize Julia, Teresa, Ann, Becky, Linda, Denise, Tracy, Jessica, Julie, Desiree, Tanya, Claire, Michelle, Sharon, and Jackie, because we have two Jackies. So I'd like to just recognize them as a whole group. This group of nurses has risen to the challenge of meeting the needs of our students and staff when we need them the most. They have done countless assessments, checked dosages, administered medications, comforted the injured students, and reviewed and applied for COVID guidance through numerous updates during school hours and beyond. They are stressed, but are successfully meeting the demands of the job. They are our shining stars. So if I can please have So if I could have our new supervisor for health services, Mrs. Michelle Morissette, come up, and she will be able to present these certificates to our nurses. Julia. And Anne. Becky. Linda. And Denise. Jessica. No. Julie. Desiree. Tanya. And Claire. And Michelle. And Sharon.
Yay, Charlie Brown. Jackie's
Jackie.
She and I are like within a week of the same day, like we're working on the same year. Yeah.
Right, if we could give them another round of applause for amazing long, hard hours.
Smile big, girls. I can tell with your eyes. One more. Thank you.
Yay, nurses. take care of it. Thank you, that was very nice. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, our agenda is a audit presentation, 5-01, Jane, and
That's who it is.
Good evening, Dr. Salins. Good evening. President Smith, board members. Tonight, we like to bring before you our audit presentation for fiscal year 21. I have with me Ms. Audrey McKendrick with TGM Group, and she'll start us off.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I would like to first, I'm going to just kind of go through this quickly, but on page 3, probably the most important part of the report is the independent auditor's report. And if you look at page 5 of that report, the next page after that, the auditor's opinion. The auditor's opinion, you have a unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion that can be given for financials. We found no issues. It's a clean opinion. The next report in the packet in the financial statement is the independent audit report on internal control over compliance.
What page are you on?
I'm sorry.
What page are you on?
Page 6, sorry. It's the independent auditor's report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance. We look at your internal control as part of designing our audit procedures. We did not find any issues in the work that we performed in that area or in the area of compliance. If you'll turn to the next section is the MD&A, which is, thank you, is prepared by management, and it just gives you a basic overview of the financial statements that should be easier to review than the detailed financial information. I will turn you to page 18, which is the first report in the financial statements. And that is the statement of net position. This is prepared on the full generally accepted accounting principle basis of accounting. So it includes all of your liabilities as well as your fixed assets. And you'll see that total assets for the year are approximately $175,000. Total liabilities are about $189,000. Those liabilities are influenced primarily by your pension liabilities and your other post-employment benefit liabilities. The next page, page 19, is the statement of activities, which again is on the full GAAP basis. And you'll see that total change in net position for the year is a deficit of about $9 million. But again, that is influenced totally by an actuarial valuation of your other post-employment benefits and pension benefits. So the statement that follows that on page 20 is the governmental funds balance sheet. That is presented without the fixed assets and liabilities. It's on it's a modified accrual basis, so it's not budgetary basis, which we'll get to. But you can see here, your total assets on this basis are about $24 million, and that's up about $6 million from the prior year, primarily in cash. Total liabilities are approximately $14 million, and those are up about $1.6 million from the prior year. Total fund balance on this report is up about $4.2 million from the prior year at approximately $9.6 million. If you'll turn to page 22, which is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and change in fund balance, this will show you on a generally accepted accounting principle basis, modified, that your total revenues for the year are approximately $119 million versus expenditures of about $115 million, giving you an excess of revenues over expenditures of about $3.3 million. Page 24 is the statement of fiduciary net position, and then the report that follows it is change in fiduciary net position. The only thing I'd like to point out here, your retiree health plan trust, this is where you're putting aside funds for those other post-employment benefits. You're on a pay-as-you-go basis, but this is where you're setting aside money for those. I will now skip through the notes to the financial statements. Nothing really changed this year primarily. If you will turn to the only thing that did change that I want to draw your attention to on page 50, in note 13, the Government Audit Accounting Standards Board had set out a pronouncements that we had to look at any activities that were deemed fiduciary and determine should those really be fiduciary, or does the board have administrative control over those? When we looked at those school activity funds in the past, which is the accounting that's going on at the schools, and the funds at the school level were considered fiduciary activities, and now they are actually included in your government statements that we just went through above. And then the final report on page 52 is kind of what I think what everybody's usually interested in, your schedule of revenues and expenditures and encumbrances, budget to actual. So this will show you the budgeted amounts. There's an original and final column as well as actual, and it'll show you that total revenues are very close to the budgeted amount of about $106 million. Actual is about 114,000 higher. And then with your expenditures, the budget was for approximately 106 million, and expenditures actually came in a bit lower, quite a bit lower, at 103 million. So that's where you're seeing your savings for the year of about $3 million, where revenues exceeded expenditures based on the budget. If there's any questions on that, or if Jane, if you would like to.
Right, if we want to go back to page 20 and expand a little bit more on that, Ms. Hendricks.
Sure.
When we look at the fund balance of 9.5 million, of that, restricted is 839,000. What is committed is 630. Assigned, and that would be to our POs, is 3 million. So the total unassigned there is a little over 4.9.
It is.
On that.
And that is available to spend either in fiscal year 23 will be budgeted in, or with a budgeted amendment to fiscal year 22.
And then when we take a look at page 52, we did see some positive variances in fiscal year 21. COVID had some very few positive impact, and that would be in the sense that we didn't have the substitutes, we didn't have Saturday school, we had savings in bus transportation as far as the fuel, we had savings in custodial supplies, water, heat, and that's where we're coming up with the savings for this year on that.
I would just take a minute to thank Jane and her staff. They helped us tremendously while we were out there, and Dr. Salins, you as well. It's always a pleasure working with you.
And this is a compliance audit to make sure that we're doing, and we're reporting certain categories to you and make sure they fall in those right areas. Is that correct?
The compliance piece of the audit, for the most part, if you're talking federal awards, there's another audit report that we're still working on now for compliance with federal awards. This is an audit based on generally accepted accounting principles. And as presented in the financials, everything is presented in terms of generally accepted accounting principles.
And I look at our food service operations, which was a positive, but I know we got a lot of money from the federal government this year with all these programs. Have we been paid as of June the 30th, all our federal money?
Yes,
So we're nobody's in arrears.
correct. And again, for this year, for 22, as you know, it is actually waived and free for all students as well. And we're seeing an increased participation in the food service program, as Sid could probably speak to as well.
And most of that's being covered by the federal government.
All of it is, yes, at a standard rate.
Do we have any questions by board members?
Not for me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Board involvement, 601. Tammy, you want to start off?
Yes, I just want to extend my good luck to all of our high school fall sports teams as they venture on into the states, to run for the state championships. Wish them well, good health, good sportsmanship.
Let's see, not much to report. I did talk to Dr. Salins, and what do we have, 10 slots, junior ROTC slots that'll be coming up for next year, right?
School year, right, that'll be going into our program of study, which we moved to publish around January, and students start to sign up at that point for classes for the next year, and so we have 10 slots that are awarded through a partnership with Talbot County Public Schools.
Right, excellent. So just wanted to put that out there and let everybody know in advance that the program's going to be gearing back up, and that's about all I got.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's been a late month. I did attend a MABE luncheon and a meeting afterwards, Dr. Salins, so I think with Annapolis at the same time. Had the privilege too of going down to Ken Island, watching a girls' soccer game. Happened to be Ken Island and Queen Anne, so that was very interesting and very impressed with the facilities and everything. And that's about what I had. Dr. Salins?
Yes. So I wanted to kind of unveil, as the board knows, because they approved the contract, that we are working with Maven and Smith, who is a company that will be redesigning our websites. And to kick that website off, we needed to create a new branding. And so the branding was finalized, and I just wanted to share that with the board. You can see that it really does bring in both ends of the district as it relates to colors. And when we surveyed, Maven and Smith actually surveyed staff members and community members to say, what colors do you think of when you think of Queen Anne's County Public Schools or Queen Anne's County as a whole? And so we incorporated all those colors. And also they said the number one theme was really water. So we incorporated that. We did partner with the county. They have just done their rebranding. And their tagline is where shore living begins. And our tagline is where our future begins. And so we're really excited to share that with you all and move forward with the branding piece and unveiling a new website. Our target date is February 1st. So look forward to updating you as we move forward. And other than that, I mean, just being very involved in, made it to all the schools for my first kind of more formal visit. So many amazing things going on. Honestly, you know, almost as normal as can be when you walk into it and you see instruction going on and students engaged and teachers and staff members just excited to have students in their class and participating, and some really wonderful visits that we had a chance to go on. So I look forward to my next upcoming visits, but I'll have lots of opportunities to get into schools as it relates to other things. The superintendent student advisory councils will be starting up this month, so I'm looking forward to getting into the secondary schools and meeting with students directly and being able to have some conversations and listen to what they have to say about things we can grow on and things we're doing really well on. So.
Great.
You give a thing go over? You're finished, right?
Yes, I'm done.
Amy
Amy's ready
Hudock,
to go.
Assistant
Yes.
Superintendent, go
Thank
ahead.
you.
Good evening, Mr. Smith, Dr. Salins, and board members, and the rest of the executive team. So what I have for you are the October spotlights from the schools. All right, so Bayside Elementary School, they took the students that participated in the summer reading and math, and they treated them to ice cream, and the students also received a certificate. They have what they call Dolphin Dash Celebration Monthly, so they held it during that time frame. So there are some pictures there of the celebration. And Centerville Elementary School is in receipt of a $6,500 grant, kindness grant. And the things that they're anticipating doing with the funds, they're beautifying the school with a mural. They are doing kindness positive referrals, and then each of the students will receive a t-shirt. Churchill Elementary School, they celebrated Fire Prevention Month. Churchill Volunteer Fire Company came to the school, so you can see pictures there with them working with the students. And Graysonville, they do what is called Dudes in School, and you see lots of pictures, and they're all outside, so they are interacting with the students before school, after school. These could be dads, they could be uncles, they could be grandfathers, they could be just community members, but it's a program that they have incorporated. So the students have additional positive role models. Kennard Elementary School participated in what they're calling, or what is called Call to Action, and it's sponsored by the Baltimore Ravens and the United Way of Central Maryland. And the students chose to write letters and draw pictures to thank veterans for their service, which I thought was a very nice way to give back to the community. And then you see pictures of them working on them. In Island Elementary School, what you have here is a teacher that has created a student-centered environment on the left-hand side where she has music playing. You have the students talking about art. So she has maximized that student-centered experience. And then on the right, you have students doing buddy reading, and they're social distancing, I guess, and measuring it by touching the soles of their shoes. Mattapique Elementary School, they have Squirtle the Turtle, and that's the Port of Baltimore Terrapin Program. So there's their terrapin. And then you have the Queen Anne's County Education Partnership donating 6 wobble chairs for the students in classes. And then on October 15th, they are reporting that the teachers worked on Tier 2 strategies, and what they've done is created additional supports for their instructional toolbox. Sudlersville Elementary School, just as Churchill reported, they did an activity with the Sudlersville Volunteer Fire Company surrounding Fire Prevention Month. And they also have the students, the 4th graders, that participated in the fall assessments. So they recognized them. Centerville Middle School had a book fair from October 18th through the 22nd. Mattapique Middle, October was National Principals Month, so they are thanking all of the principals in the district, as well as their own principal, Dr. McCoy. And then October 2nd was National Custodial Appreciation Day, and they're recognizing their staff that keeps their school shining. Stevensville Middle, in our new middle school class, music and theater arts. So you have a picture of students preparing for, and you might want to mark your calendar, on November 13th at 2 o'clock. They're going to put on All Together Now. Sudlersville Middle, so on October 15th, they had a celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. This is where they had food, they had entertainment, and it all reflected the Hispanic culture. The equity team, the PTSA, and the families within the Hispanic community planned the event. They had hundreds of homemade meals that were served at the festival. And a shout out to the Judy Center, who provided resources to the early learners, as well as the Sudlersville Volunteer Fire Department, who provided, that is the lights for the event. Ken Island High School, the month of October, both high schools had homecoming, so this was their Spirit Week and how they celebrated it each day. And Queen Anne's hosted a successful homecoming. They had the parade, the game, the dance, and Queen Anne's County staff participated in a productive October 15th Professional Development Day. And on October 26th, the PTSA was administered to all sophomores. And you got to meet these wonderful people at the October 20th meeting, and Mr. John Murdoch shared with everyone what they were doing. So here's some pictures of them giving those goodie bags that they had shared with us to the bus drivers. And then the box on the bottom gives you some data. So the number of students, we have 7,477. 6,063 of those students are transported by bus, 1,414 by car, and the number of buses that we have daily on the roads is 108. And that's our October spotlight.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Student board reports, Canal and Jackson.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So we're finally in the groove of everything at Ken Island, and as you said earlier, right now we're nearing the end of our fall sports season. So just to name a few examples, there's a playoff field hockey game against QA tonight, which is at home. This Friday, there's a playoff football game against CM Wright, which is also at home, which everyone's very excited for as we're still undefeated. The sports orientation for our winter season is going to be tomorrow night. We also had a school-wide PSAT testing day last week in addition to Queen Anne's. Rehearsal has started for our spring production of The Little Mermaid. And lastly, throughout November, we're going to be having a Thanksgiving canned food drive through National Honor Society. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. Queen Anne, we got Brent.
We have a lot of things going on through November in Queen Anne's County High School. One important item is the end of the quarter one. Our report cards will be distributed electronically on November 5th. For the class of 2022, if you haven't already ordered your cap and gown, you should do so as soon as possible. You can do that online on www.jostens.com. There are around 8 colleges that will be visiting Queen Anne's County High School in November. You can find that list of colleges and sign up if you are a junior or senior who is interested in attending on Naviance. There were 3 universities that will be having a representative coming to Queen Anne's County High School to meet with students who are thinking about applying or have recently applied, and they will render an admissions decision that day. On November 17th, it's Stevenson University, November 18th, Salisbury University, and on November 19th, it's Capital University. Chesapeake College will be on the guidance office on Friday, November 19th, to register juniors and seniors for spring semester classes. If you are interested, you need to meet with your counselor prior to this date. On October 26th, we had the pre-SAT, and this Saturday, November 6th, Queen Anne's County High School will have the SAT testing day. ASVAB testing will take place for all juniors in their English third classes this semester on November 18th. This is used by the Armed Services and is an excellent tool to help match a student with their interest and aptitude. If you are a senior and you are interested in this, for this military purpose, you can sign up in guidance. The FBLA will be having an annual food drive competition. It will run from Monday, November 8th through Friday, November 12th. This activity helps stock shelves for our local food banks and support Queen Anne's County families. The Interact Club is sponsoring Operation Christmas Child. Students can collect small toys and other items packaged in shoeboxes and send it to children around the world. This is an activity approved service learning event. The Queen Anne's County High School Theater Department is presenting a night of scenes from a Midsummer Night's Dream on Saturday, November 13th at 7 p.m. Tickets are free to the public, so please come support our students for a nice night of theater. On December 4th at 7 p.m., we will be having a winter concert at the high school, which will feature our band. A huge congratulations to the marching band who have finished their competitive season on October 23rd. It was a tournament of bands, Region 9 championships. They gave the best performance of the season, which earned them in the first place and to finish in the Group 1 open class and the title of Regional Champion championships for that group class. They also earned the first place for the music and visual. Additionally, they earned awards for the best percussion and best color guard. And for sports, our unified tennis has gone states on November 9th. The girls soccer team are the Bayside championships. Are the Bayside champions. And winter sports are starting Monday, November 15th. So you need to register for that. And we have our football game Friday against Stephen Decatur, and cross country for regionals is tomorrow.
Now here, you're participating in that.
Yeah. I'm
So
part
get
of it.
home and get a lot of rest. I heard talk to Mark about it, and good luck to you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck to you, yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have public comment?
No. Read this. Okay, public comment. We ask that all speakers keep in mind the following guidelines. Speakers should sign the roster, including their telephone number and address. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes in length. Comments longer than 3 minutes should be submitted in writing. Questions or statements to the board should relate to a matter of general public policy over which this board has authority. Comments about actions or statements of individual staff members are not appropriate for public comment and should be referred to the superintendent of schools or the board president. If you have a specific question, the board will make sure an appropriate staff member responds to your question. The board respects your desire and right to convey your message freely, but asks as a courtesy to this board and our citizens to show respect for all.
Okay, we have Richard Mcneil. State your name and address for the record.
Did you get all that?
I don't think it's his first rodeo.
Good evening. My name is Richard Mcneil. I live in White Marsh Road in Centerville, and I represent the retired school personnel group. And I learned a long time ago that as an educator, you're supposed to do a pre-test before you do much of anything else. So I'm going to ask a question of the board, excluding these two. Do you know where Hope School is?
Well, due to policy, we're not allowed to have interaction
Oh,
with them.
okay. Well, anyway.
And we thought you knew this, but
Yeah, I did. It's a rhetorical question then. Hope School, if you don't know, is the school, one-room schoolhouse that is sitting in front of Queen Anne's County High School. And the reason I mention that tonight, 3 years ago, we got a grant of money to replace the door. And I want to thank the carpentry students that Amy was in charge of at that time, sort of. Anyway, they built the door, and it had to be built because it's of an odd size. You couldn't go down and order one. And so we got a grant of money, and the carpentry students under Mr. Ron Frederick put it together. Well, the shutdown of the schools kind of put that out of whack and so forth, but it was installed last week. And which is nice because the original door, the bottom 18 inches had rotted away. So we're happy to get that replaced. And I want to also thank Bob Simba, local person. Some of you might know, he actually helped take the old hinges and the old doorknobs off and finish those up and put them on the new door. So it still has some of the original talents to it, if that's the thing. While I'm thanking everybody, I'm going to thank Nancy Cook. She is head of the Historical Society, and she's been kind of behind this. So if you've not been in the Hope School, I encourage you to visit it. It has got a lot of old textbooks that go back to the late 1800s and 1900s, and the desks and the bell and everything in that. We do have it open normally the first Saturday of the month from April through September. So I just want to mention that. Second thing I want to mention, and I might need some help. I've got a couple pictures I want to show. I want to thank the superintendent for joining our luncheon and meeting. We had our wonderful time, and one of the activities that we had that we shared with the members of the staff and the folks at Corsica Hills. You know, when you get an opportunity to bring a smile on somebody's face, just because you've got some pumpkins that are decorated and colorful, it was just wonderful. This is not a slideshow, it's individual pictures, so it might take a little bit to go by. I apologize for the... She doesn't have. For the time.
It's got to wrap it up.
Thank you.
But anyway, I just wanted to highlight a few of those. You know, when you bring folks together who used to work in schools, they became extremely creative. But we took 27 pumpkins over there and just had a wonderful time of bringing cheer to the folks there. And so just like I said, I wanted to let you know that we still support the community.
Thank you.
Our next meeting is December 14th. Thank you.
At Prospect Bay.
Thank you. Pardon me?
At Prospect Bay.
Yep. Yeah. Thank
And
you.
just on that note, Mr. Smith, when we toured Queen Anne's County High School, that door was being worked on, and we met the young men who were working on it. It's beautiful. It wasn't even finished back then, but I'm sure it's gorgeous now, because they were really doing a great job on it.
Okay, moving on. COVID-19 metrics update, Dr. Salins?
Yes, Carrie's kind of doing dual. I can do dual.
Keep her busy.
Yes. So I think everyone knows, because you do get a daily report,
Like
but
it's
for the
going on.
public, you can see that over the last several days from 10/28 through yesterday, you can see that our numbers have been, thank you, sir. You can see that our numbers have been below the 20 mark. I did want to point out that on previous updates, there was an error. Obviously, we pull it out and we show that it's 13.04 right now, and we had a percent sign next to that, and that wasn't accurately represented. That was brought to our attention. We quickly fixed that. It was just a typo, basically, but it means something very different. So 13.04 per 100,000 as opposed to the percentage. So I just want to make sure that the board understands that there was a slight change on this slide, and that the previous ones may have been misleading or misrepresenting, and that was an error because of the percent sign, so removing that. But things are looking good. Met with all the administrators and supervisors on Friday, had a really good discussion. We're going to start bringing in character counts coaches now. We've really been partnering with them. We've opened it up here at the central office. I've encouraged people to, that work here to get involved, especially around this local area, giving them permission to leave work to go and be a character counts coach. And I think that they've been able to get a really great additional team there. Also, I know that they've done some training with some of our high school honor society students to be able to provide that service as well. They do a wonderful job. Their message is amazing, so we're excited to bring them back in. We do have DARE going on, so we're starting to open up a little bit more, and these numbers help us to do that. So I'm very optimistic that we can continue to invite more and more people back into our schools.
And I think we also, not loosened, but changed a little bit of what we're doing with restricting students at their close contact that you're working on. I think
Yes.
the numbers were pretty low with
Yes.
the contact rates. And
So we did change our quarantining. So whether the student, as long as the student is masked and not symptomatic, they don't have to quarantine. So the only times that we're seeing quarantining right now are students obviously who are symptomatic, and students who may have been exposed during times where you don't have a mask on, such as lunch, where not all of our schools can socially distance during lunch. So some of the quarantining is coming from that. It has greatly impacted the quarantine numbers, and I think, and we're doing fine with it. And so we're going to continue to monitor that, and if we can modify that even more, we will continue to look at it and do so. But I was glad that we were able to move in that direction, and as you can see, it hasn't impacted our numbers overall in the community.
I mean, the number of the ones that are testing pot that are quarantined are very low.
Yes, the number of students who subsequently were positive in quarantine is very low, under 2%.
I mean, is that a good thing to keep kids coming into school?
As many as we can keep in school to not have a disruption in the continuity of their learning.
I think a lot of discussions, we've lost so much over the year and a half of both being out of school and in the hybrid program, which was, very hard on everybody. The tricks keep people in school.
Yes, yes, sir, yes.
Okay. 802, Tracy Kenna.
Good evening, President Smith, Dr. Salins, members of the board, and exec team. And that was a perfect segue, Mr. Smith, to talk about how we're going to try to make up some lost ground that we may have lost over the past year and a half of COVID closures. I also just wanted to send out a shout out. Right now it's a very close field hockey game. Queen Anne's is up by 1 at the half. So. All right, so I'm here today to talk about our local version of the Every Student Succeeds Act, the ESSA Act, the executive summary that I shared with you. Every year, we are required to present a plan to MSDE, that's a school improvement plan, and a reporting plan that is based upon assessment data, generally state assessment data and internal data, and come up with, based on what the data says, goals for how we can improve our school system. So over the course of the years, back in 2002, we started with the Bridge to Excellence plan, and this was a Maryland-based plan. And then in 2015, we moved into the ESSA plan. This was a federal plan. And then in 2019, we moved into a local ESSA plan. So again, we still must report every year to MSDE. And then almost immediately, we were then right out into COVID. So we have now moved forward into a blueprint for Maryland's future. I'm sorry. The blueprint does not have a reporting component, so we're currently in between reporting plans. We're still waiting for some additional guidance from MSD about how they would like us to report our school improvement and our assessments moving forward. So this year we are to report our local ESSA plan as we have in the past and come up with a few focus areas to focus on this year. Dr. Kibler will go into more blueprint data and details in a couple weeks when he meets with you. So this year, our areas of focus, as I think you would all probably agree, we believe that our foundational skills are lacking with our youngest students, and the data does bear this out. So we decided we were going to focus on the K-2 literacy. So our goal is to increase the percentage of students reading on or above grade level by the end of this school year. And you can see that we are down 24% pre-COVID as compared to the end of last school year. So 2019 being the last full school year before the COVID closure. So that's a pretty significant gap. Our second graders have not been in school. They did half of kindergarten, and then they haven't been in school since. So that has a pretty heavy toll on childhood literacy. The virtual learning, yes, our teachers did all that they could, but teaching phonemic awareness virtually is very difficult. So we have some ground to make up there. We were able to assess this with the IRI data that we gathered last year, and the IRI data we started this year. We're also going to focus on the foundational skills in math for kindergarten through 8. Again, we want to increase the percentage of students that increase by 1 grade level by the end of the school year. And again, that is down about 25 percentage points when we compare pre-COVID to last year. How will we do it? So we're going to be focusing on K-2 literacy by utilizing ExactPath and Foundation to provide individualized instruction to support students in learning how to read grade level text. Students are going to be assessed multiple times a year via the ExactPath assessments that are built into the platform and through the Rigby running records. This is the individual reading inventories. In math, K-8, schools are going to utilize iReady or Math 180, it depends upon grade, because there are different programs for different age levels, to support math students both within the regular classroom and within the intervention classes. Additionally, students will be provided mathematics tutoring before and after school, and during the school day if that is feasible for the school. Again, students will be assessed multiple times through each platform. Moving forward from a strategic planning standpoint, after we receive additional guidance from MSD, we will begin the process of crafting a new strategic plan for accountability, reporting, and school improvement. Questions about that?
I know this is a statewide problem, a problem with, being behind, because if you don't, and our foundations aren't there for these younger kids, and if it's not there and they stay behind, they'll never, I feel it'll be a tough time to get caught up, especially the ones that need to get caught up won't be. we base our numbers on 2 years ago and not just say what the state's doing? Because I just find that the whole, I think the whole tide's going to go down. I don't want to make sure that we're trying to stay where we should be if we hadn't had COVID. It's going to be a tough challenge, but to really not just sit there and say, yeah, we're doing 2% or 5% better than anybody else. That's great, but the problem is the bar gets too low.
Yes, we are trying to compare our current in-person learning with our previous in-person learning. So we are trying to make gains upon what we did before we went out for the COVID closure. That is going to be a tough climb, but that is how we've been looking at the data.
Do you think this, it's not an easy or quick fix?
No.
Think in a year or two we can get this back up to?
I hope so. I don't know if I can guarantee that tonight, but yes, that should be our goal.
It's a tough situation, but we're definitely using our ESSER funds to put in a lot of additional support systems for our students through tutoring, even before school, many programs after school, some push-in interventions during school, and then we're even right now gearing up for the summer. And what is our summer going to look like? Exhausting enough as it sounds, but making sure, like last year, we had a very robust summer opportunity for students and making sure we can mirror that opportunity. So we really are putting every effort into it, and we would hope that we can get back to where our numbers were pre-COVID.
But the extension span of some of these children that are in the K to we can have after school, we can have, summer, but there's only so much time they can.
That's where the intervention piece of it, the push-in during the school day to really focus on and using those running records, which is really a diagnostic tool for us to see where each student is individually, and it's almost like creating an individual plan for every single student, which is exhausting, but it's what we really need to do. You're right, our littles don't have the foundational skills on which to build on, so it's going to be harder for them. They can't necessarily catch up because they have to be ready with those foundational skills before they can build on them. So teachers and support staff are working very hard. We have parent conferences coming up, and I know that that's going to help to communicate with our parents and make sure that we're providing all the supports possible.
Trying to get out to the parents and tell them what they, what we're trying to do, and what they need to do, because
what they can do to help
we're,
as well.
6 hours a day is great, but there's, other times they need just to reinforce what's being taught in the schools.
I was also just going to say, we're also striving for variety. That way the littles don't become bored with something, a little too rote. So we are trying to change things up throughout their day and after school. That way it always feels a little new to them.
To me, it's just, in normal times, it's a challenge. And you add a year and a half of abnormal, even longer maybe, it just, I just hope we don't see long-term effects, which I know we will some, but.
Well, I hope I'm speaking out of turn by saying, regardless of what MSD eventually comes out and asks us to do, I think we're going to continue to focus on our pre-COVID data to try to get us back up to speed to that level, because we were a very highly performing district.
And each school has completed their school improvement plan, and every principal has completed their SLO, which is their student learning objective. So they have a target there, and those are all focused on this kind of catch up, if you might say, or providing those additional supports for students to get back to where we were.
And an educational part for the parents too, to know that they need to be a big partner in this to help us, because we can supply a lot of things, but they're going to almost play a bigger role than they've ever had in their lives to get over this challenge.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Any other board members?
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Ms. Harper. Sorry.
803, transfer notice, Jane.
Good evening again. Tonight I bring before you transfer notice. The transfer notice is as of October 21. In summary, in 2 different categories, mid-level administration, we found a need to transfer $3,000 from other charges to contracted services to cover the cost of the school funds online accounting software by building. Then the next one is in special education, the salaries to contracted services of $275,000. This is for the speech and occupational therapists instead of salaries. They have been contracted out for this year.
And that's the same problem we face most years.
Correct.
Not finding people to hire, so then we have to contract in there.
There's such a shortage, and yes. I'm
But we've
sure.
had this over there, so it's just, okay. So bottom line, we're in budget, it's just going from one to the other, it's just pay.
Correct, it's within that category itself, whether it's special ed or mid-level, it's transferring within that specific category.
Okay.
Stay on for a couple more.
Oh, you're right here, just keep on going.
Okay.
Monthly unrestricted report.
All right, so attached is your monthly unrestricted report for October. You can see the expenditure status summary report by category, in addition to the breakout by account. The negatives that you see in some of those categories are cleared up from the transfer request and the transfer notice that I'm presenting tonight.
I'm looking on the right one, that's under the health service and stuff like that. 08 or something.
Correct. There was, under the health services one, there was a salary adjustment there, as well as annual leave payout. The $3,651 for contracted services. I'm going to have to research that one. That one is for catastrophe-related student health, and I just want to make sure that that goes here under student personnel, or health, under health. If not, I'll transfer it to another category.
On our student transportation, is fuel starting to hit us hard?
Yes.
And I know if it keeps going up, we're going to be in a bigger problem than we are now, but, it's gone up $1.25 over the last 6 months to a year, and
Well,
that affects us directly.
There is a cost escalator involved with that.
so under student transportation, I see it's 96% of that budget has already been, is it just allocated?
It is allocated, correct, between encumbrances for salaries, and then as well as under contracted services, that includes our LLCs as well in that
Okay,
number.
thank you.
So there's very limited, okay, all right.
Yes.
It is going to be tight this year in transportation. It's fuel.
The fuel have we pre-purchased fuel for our buildings and propane and gas?
Yes, we have.
Fuel oil.
That has gone up also, as you can imagine. So including running our buildings an extra 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening for the air exchange. I've definitely, you probably have too, Jane, definitely seen the electric bills increase 25% or so, if not more.
Now, can we use ESNR funds because we're doing more air circulation because of COVID? Would that be something that could be pulled out of that money? Because,
We could potentially, yes,
if we had some of that could be used. If we're running
need be.
circulating air, instead of 2 times, we're doing it 3 times a day or something. And I know you run them longer and,
It would definitely qualify.
okay.
But don't we have reserves on the energy saving side of that with the solar panels and?
Oh, yeah, so we have the solar panels, which, is at a cheaper rate, and then we also belong to ESMIC.
Okay.
Energy Trust, which we're able to lock in blocks of electric at a cheaper rate. But it's still, like I said, we're running the systems 4 hours extra each day where we weren't doing that before. So, times 180 days, it's you can really see the difference.
And then pray for a mild winter.
Yes.
So that, as we get into the winter months, we're circulating cold air to have to warm it up.
That's correct. Whatever you bring in, you got to wring it out and get it up to temperature.
Good news.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, if my memory serves me correct, the next one is the Sr2 breakdown. We'll bring Sr3 in December. So this is what's been spent year to date is the 1.4 million. Available is 1.5. It has been budgeted. There's an amendment that was submitted to MSDE and approved, and you can see the description of the change on the right-hand side.
This has been approved?
By MSDE, yes, correct.
And then when in ESER 3 is the next round, that's your report later on.
Correct. We'll start in December. I believe tonight we're going to start seeing some ESER 3 requests come through as far as the math or iReady programs, Pear Deck.
Okay.
Like what we just talked about earlier with Ms. McKenna, can some of that, like money that we're using for tutoring and after-school programs, that can be ESER money too, right? Or can it, because of COVID
Right,
related?
I'm not sure if we want to put it towards, but definitely would qualify for ESER. But we have gotten from the state as far as supplemental aid and, let's see, for grades, I'm trying to think, the upper grade levels, $730,000 just for this 1 year alone.
Okay.
For the supplemental tutoring funds. And then as well as TSI, which is for the younger group of $130,000.
That's covered most of that.
Yes, so that will cover it. So ESER is free to identify the other needs. There has been needs that are addressed. The executive team reviews them at least monthly because there's requests that pop up all the time. The needs are changing, and so we'll adjust accordingly.
Okay. Other questions? Good.
Thank you.
I had a time to look over our human resource substitute report. Dr. Salins?
Yes. Mr. Smith. I take it we're into action items now, Mr. Smith? Mr. Smith, may I make a motion to accept the human resources substitute bus driver report as presented in closed session?
Second?
A motion is second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. Okay. Next one is Amy Smith. Air Deck subscription.
Yeah, that's probably Thanks.
I'm actually Pear Deck, and Ms. Smith is already.
I'm sorry, Tracy, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm one ahead of them.
So I have an action item for use of ESER 3 funds for a Pear Deck premium subscription. Pear Deck is a program that integrates seamlessly with our learning management system, Schoology. It allows teachers to create interactive slideshow presentations in Google Slides that they can then control on the students' laptops, and it provides instantaneous formative assessment. This was something that the teachers and the principals requested in their ESER 3. They had asked for this for a 1-year subscription. After speaking with a couple different reps from Pear Deck, I was able to get that into an 18-month subscription for the entire district, not just for the elementary schools.
Okay.
Mr. Smith, point of information. I know it's our normal protocol to go ahead and make a motion and have our discussion. And then after discussion, then have our vote. If you wouldn't mind, just bear me a little indulgence here to ask questions previously, if you don't mind.
Fine.
Okay. Since we have not gotten into the ESER 3 funds yet, and I'm going to ask that to Ms. Towers, I apologize. Is it prudent to go ahead and start spending this money?
Yes, it has been approved by MSDE.
Okay. So even though we don't have it yet, we are allowed to go ahead and budget for it?
Well, we actually received the NOGA week before last, so it's a notice of the grant award, so we're able to spend it from that
Okay, thank you.
notification from MSDE.
Okay. I just want to make sure. I don't want to spend money where we're not allowed and don't have.
And I think it says action, it's 12/30 it starts, right? So it won't be starting until December anyway.
Yes, this would be the spring semester and then the entire following
We're
full
just
school year.
authorizing the contractor.
22 and 23.
Right.
It says on here June 30th through 2023.
At the end of that school year.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, so we get this coming spring semester and then
so it's
all
like a year
next
and a
school year.
half.
When we got the original request, it was just for a year, just for elementary schools. And then the negotiations, we were able to get 18 months for the whole district for what we budgeted for. And so we need this month to basically get it set up in the systems to link to Schoology so that the staff can be fired up and ready to go after Christmas break and the new year. So.
That's fabulous.
So it could start January of next year, run the one half a year and then the following whole year.
Yes, sir.
That's great.
And everything the teachers create in Pear Deck remains their property. So anything they create over the spring semester, they may certainly utilize in future years.
Okay.
All right, and Mr. Smith, then may I please make the motion to approve the purchase of Pear Deck, the district-wide access fiscal impact dollar amount of $37,247.68, budget source ESSER 3 funds.
Second.
Just a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Ayes have it, 3-0. Okay, Dr. Howell, for you.
Thank you, lady.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, yes, board members, as part of your,
I should have done that during the HR report.
I apologize that during your action item for human resources report, we actually have Dr. Sell here this evening. Dr. Sell is, with your approval, well, you just approved it, so it's official now. It will be officially the new assistant principal at Centerville Middle School, and we're really happy to have him come here. He's coming from Delaware with a variety of experiences, and will be able to literally hit the floor running, and he will actually be starting tomorrow. So really excited. I'd like to kind of get up and introduce him, have himself introduce him and just congratulate him. Maybe Lynette can get a picture, and so that we can share it out with everyone.
Sure.
Very, very impressive career you've had.
We're going to do the picture. I didn't know we had met, so I apologize. Didn't know, very nice to meet you. Glad to bring you on board.
And you get to sit through a very boring meeting. Come on. Welcome, thank you.
Many, many.
There we go. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Even did I.
Do I get it?
Okay. Amy Smith, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Smith, Dr. Salins, board members, and executive team. For the record, I'm Amy Smith, supervisor K-12 mathematics and gifted and talented. I am bringing to you the contract for single text adoption for kindergarten through second grade of iReady Classroom and online support. This contract is really bringing in the needed support for our elementary. Last year, we went through the book adoption process and we brought in grades 3 through 5. So now with ESSER 3 funds, we have the ability to bring in and finish off our elementary program so that all students, one, have a working textbook, teachers have appropriate supports and resources. It will also help support some of those learning gaps because of the different trajectories that the program has built in, as well as the resources that are built into the instructional tools for teachers to use. It is a 6-year contract with iReady in order to come in, so it'll make the kids be able to flow their program all the way through their elementary school cycle, and it is for $227,653.40.
Question I would have, just under action, it says 22 to 23 school years. That's just, you said it's a 6-year contract?
It is a 6-year contract, so it will start our school year off in the fall, but in order to get the pricing before it changes, and now that we have the ESSER grants ready after Dr. Salins and the exec team reviewed, they felt this was the best timing to put it through. That way it also allows us to get the curriculum written and ready for implementation in the fall.
And the 227 is a 6-year, it's basically...
It's 6 years, so it'll go from 22, 23, and 6 years out.
That's $35,000 a year, whatever it
Yes.
looks like today.
And then after the 6 years, just like with the 3 to 5 that we talked about last year, if we want to renew year to year, we can do that. But this will allow us a larger quantity of time for progression and teachers to be able to embrace and students to get the support they need at a much better value financially.
Jane, we're going to spend this ESNR 3 money on a 6-year contract. I'm sure there's a time limit of when the ESNR 3 money's got to be spent, probably quicker than 6 years.
Right, as long as there's a signed contract and agreement for that time frame, then that is acceptable.
And we can, I don't know, and you're the financial expert, we can hold it and pay it on a yearly, or if something goes wrong, there'd be a way to protect both sides.
No, what we'll have to do is pay it up front, and then we get reimbursed the following month. We put it in as a request to get reimbursed for that amount.
But ESNR...
Pay for the full $229,000, I believe it was.
Okay, but ESNR's going to have, we're going to have to use ESNR funds by a certain date 3, aren't we? Or don't we? Will that go for 6 years?
No, ESNR 3 is extended out till 24, so we'll pay for it this month. We'll encumber the funds this month, so it's setting the money aside this month for it. For the full contract, it's 6.
It's getting paid now.
We're going to pay it now, and then the state's going to reimburse us for it, and we're going to pay the full amount now. So we're going to pay for the 6 years, but we won't get the services until year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's, but we have a signed contract, and it's their obligation to fulfill that contract for 6 years.
They're going to have our complete money for a 6-year contract,
Yes.
and we feel confident that's not a problem.
No, we've done that with other, definitely on other cases. Even the one you just approved, which was really a year and a half, it's the same concept. It's just that this one sounds a little bit more robust because it's 6 years.
Well, and the grades 3 through 5, it's a 6-year contract.
Right.
So we're in year 1 of that implementation. We have 5 more years that we have the program guaranteed. It's paid for. Not another cent goes for grades 3 through 5.
So what she's trying to say is she doesn't need any more money for anything as it relates to elementary school for the next 6
Elementary.
years. Or math.
I guess I'm looking at it a different way. I'm looking at it like a business person that says, you're going to put a roof on my house every 5th year, 6th year. I'm giving you all the money now. I just want to make sure you're around in 6 years. Yeah. That's the only thing we feel confident we're all right there.
This company has been around for, I was just at their training, and this is year 22, 24 with them. They just brought in yet another tier to their intervention programs. I don't believe Curriculum Associates are going anywhere.
Okay. I don't know enough
Got
about
a
it.
good reputation. They
They
absolutely
have a phenomenal reputation.
But in this day and age, everybody's trying to get something out of somebody.
Yeah.
And this program, what it does also offer, not only for student support, but literally as students go through the program, it almost creates an individual learning plan for every student from the time they enter. And so teachers get so much feedback as far as how they can group students to provide them the right supports at the exact time that it is needed.
Okay. So may I, Ms. Smith, what is the name of the company?
The company is Curriculum Associates. It is their iReady classroom and pathway programs.
So maybe next time on here, put Curriculum Associates, that's who we're having the contract with, rather than just the product that we're purchasing.
Okay.
That way, when we make the motion, it's who we're doing business with.
Well,
I understand that, but it's not on the yellow sheet. People may only just look at the yellow sheet and not see that it says. So may I make a motion, Mr. Smith, to approve the contract with Curriculum Associates to purchase the iReady Classroom Mathematics textbook review for grades kindergarten 1-2, elementary implementation, for a fiscal impact dollar amount of $227,653.40, a budget source ESSER 3 funds.
Second.
have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Josh Combs, Associate, we have a thing for cable switches.
It probably sounds great, but. Good evening, board members. Dr. Salins, President Smith, executive team. For the record, my name is Josh Combs. I am the supervisor of technology. Here today to request purchase approval for a data domain device and 2 fiber switches. In layman's terms, 2 core switches that go to our data center to provide redundancy and high-end speed to all of our core servers. They're about 8 years old now, so we're kind of due to upgrade those, replace those. The data domain device is basically, you think of it as a big hard drive that we want to add to our backup solution. Therefore, things like I can back up more servers. As we keep progressing, we have to add more and more virtual servers as we go along. I like to back those up. And some of our core servers, like our file and print, we can back up longer. So instead of maybe doing a backup scheme for 2 weeks, we can go 30 days or 40 days on a single server by adding more hard drive capacity to our backup solution.
Mr. Combs, who are we purchasing this through? I see that it's an intergovernmental co-op purchasing agent, but what's
Yes, it's being purchased through the MEAT contract.
the name of the company?
Data Networks.
Data Networks.
Yes, that's the name of the company.
Okay.
Data Networks Incorporated. It's a Maryland company.
Valley, it says.
It's a Dell product. The reseller is Data Networks.
So we're buying this through a co-op, so we didn't have to have the 3 bids on it.
Right. The MEAT contract is basically an RFP process that's already done through the University of Maryland that all the counties are part of, so you kind of get to piggyback off those contracts.
Mr. Smith, may I make a motion to approve the contract with Data Networks Incorporated for the purchase of a data domain 3300 appliance and 2 fiber channel switches. Fiscal impact dollar amount of $40,141. From the budget source of FY 2022 unrestricted capital outlay.
Budget.
Second.
Motion second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it, 3-0. Question while you're here. We got updated power storage coming from Kent County that came over from Baltimore to have more
The internet bandwidth? Yeah, we went from 1 gig to 2 gigs.
Are we all straight with that now?
Yes.
So it's up and running, done, had it. Gotcha.
Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Josh.
Okay, cafeteria tables, Carl.
Good evening, President Smith, members of the board, Dr. Salins. I am Carla Pullen, Facilities Planner, Queen Anne's County Public Schools. The first item I have for you this evening is an approval for the purchase of new cafeteria tables for Bayside Elementary School. This is utilizing a cooperative purchasing agreement. The contract is with Duran, and we are looking at a quantity of 23 new tables for that school. It will be our standard, the new standard specification that we have, which is a rectangular table with 12 stools, which is easier for cleaning and fold up for the custodial crew. The fiscal impact is $56,000, $602.08, and this is budgeted in ESSER 2.
Question real quickly. Under the ESSER 2 funds, Ms. Towers, we have that? We still have that amount available to use, and this is for social distancing?
It's certainly helpful for social distancing as well as for cleaning and sanitizing.
Okay. So, Mr. Smith, may I make the motion to approve the purchase of 23 new cafeteria tables for Bayside Elementary School with the company Duran? Fiscal impact dollar amount of $56,602.08. A budget source ESSER 2 funds.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0.
Thank you.
Just a question of thing. I know the old tables are shot. What do we do with them?
In some cases, some of them will still be usable, and therefore during our social distancing, we may continue to keep some of those working. Those that are beyond repair or have been welded, at this point, I think are probably better that we just get rid of those.
What we're finding is that sometimes when they made the list prior to school starting, some of the principals are now saying, hey, I thought this would work, but it's not quite working the way I thought it would work once the kids got in here. So, there has been a change up of different needs in different areas. But we will be able to utilize some of the tables for extra.
Parts?
True.
Right. So in that vein, sir, the next contract, may I make the motion to approve the contract with Duron for the purchase of 12 new cafeteria tables for Sothersville Elementary School, fiscal impact dollar amount of $29,858.52, budget source ESSER 2 funds.
Second.
A motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. I know all this stuff is 16 weeks.
At least 16 weeks.
So we have, I mean, I'm sure, I know we just talked about roofs and everything else. I guess everything's just supply chain is just crazy.
It is, especially furniture, even in the residential market. It's very difficult to get furniture right now. The next item that I have for you is the PA replacement at Centerville Elementary School. This is a approval of a contract with HP Electronics. We are utilizing a cooperative purchasing contract, and we will be installing new head-end console speakers and the wiring to replace that PA system. It was installed in 2002, so it's at the end of its useful life. It is difficult to get parts for that now. We want to make sure that we keep that for a safety aspect up to date. Fiscal impact is $46,349.69. This is from aging school funds from the state of Maryland. We do not have a matching source with this. This is money directly from the state.
Sounds like a winner.
Yes.
Can we, I see we're a little bit under, can we use that for like the system we had at Queen Anne's High School to pay for a little bit of it too?
This one is specific to, you apply for a specific project and you're awarded that amount. We have up to $50,000 to use about every year, and we try to do
Okay.
something that's security related.
Okay.
So, Mr. Smith, may I make the motion to approve the contract with HP Electronics for the purchase of a replacement PA system at the Centerville Elementary School, fiscal impact dollar amount of $46,349.69, budget source FY 2022 Aging School Program funds.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lighting. Oh,
I
not
will
her.
stay
I'll take
for, yes, I will stay for questions, but I believe Mr. Pender is going to handle
Evening,
this.
President Smith, Dr. Salins, board members, Sid Pender, Chief Operating Officer. We, before you, have a proposal from Lighting Maintenance Incorporated to remove the existing HID pole light fixtures at Ken Island Elementary School, Mattapique Elementary School, and Mattapique Middle School, and replace those with LED. And there is a Delmarva Power rebate program that goes along with this. The company will take care of all the paperwork handling that. Just to kind of give you an example to help offset the cost, Kennard Elementary School is about $4,000 rebate we got, and I believe Queen Anne's High School is around $5,000. Once we do the new LED lights, it won't require us to change them all the time, and maintenance being involved in it. If you want to look at a prime example, go to Kennard Elementary School or Queen Anne's where we did it, and you can actually see in front of you now. It's a safety issue, and it worked out very well. Seeking approval for the $33,005.60 out of the capital outlay. Any questions? Or
Yeah, Ms. Towers, we have that available in the budget for this.
I'll bring it before under item 1013 under transfer request.
Okay.
Yes.
And the rebate won't be enough to cover the entire cost?
No, I would imagine
Half?
10 to 12,000 off of that.
Mr. Smith, may I make a motion to approve the contract with Lighting Maintenance Incorporated to remove existing HID pole light fixtures and install LED area parking lot lights for Ken Island Elementary School, Mattapique Elementary School, and Mattapique Middle School. Fiscal impact dollar amount of $33,005.60. Budget source FY 22 operating budget.
Second.
a motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. And this will be done not during school hours, or, I mean...
No, it'd be done during the evenings, because they also have to set up the light pattern and the candles.
So it have to be set at nighttime anyway.
Yep.
Okay, next on there is a fire alarm.
Yes, seeking approval of a contract with Johnson Controls to provide annual inspections of the fire alarm systems in compliance with the Statement of Work in the National Fire Association for all Queen Anne's County Public School buildings. In the past, we have had our 9 maintenance technicians that we have. They actually come in after school hours or on the weekends. We walk a building. It takes literally about 10 days because you have to walk every single room, look at the strobe lights, the sound, document all that. The problem I'm running into is when I have 9 of them doing it during the evening, guess what? I got nobody during the daytime. And all of the inspections that they keep asking us to do, along with the security cameras and all, we simply just don't have the time and, manpower to do that. So I'm seeking approval tonight. It's actually a 3-year contract. The first year will be for $29,989, and that would come out of the FY22 operating budget.
So we normally have 3 bids to do this.
This is under the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Agreement, 031517.
Okay. So we're in compliance there.
Yes.
And probably it gives us a layer of protection too, because we got somebody else, not the fox watching the hen house. I mean, you got an outside contractor looking at something when I'm not your guys.
Oh, yeah,
do
no,
it,
it's-
but they're seeing the same thing every day, so you got a new set of eyes coming in there.
I mean, you got, and that, and it's just poor Jim O'Donnell just, he spends days and days and days getting all the paperwork together and, and especially with something with life safety like that, you really want to have it documented.
Will this they'll provide documentation to the fire marshal?
Yep.
So that we'll be in compliance
We'll
with
have all
that?
the reports. Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Smith, may I make the motion to approve the contract with Johnson Controls to provide annual fire alarm systems inspections on all of our schools, fiscal impact dollar amount of $29,989 per year for a 3-year contract. Budget sources FY 2022 operating budget for this first year.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0.
The next item that I have, board members, is the seeking approval of allowing Northern County Exchange, specifically Ashton Cannon, to purchase a new bus next school year. Her bus will be 15 years, which is the state law, the longest you can have it. So seeking approval for her to purchase and replace bus 10108. Again, that goes out of service August 27th, 2022, and there is a long line now for manufacturing buses. That will come with a different PVA, of course, so seeking approval for that tonight.
But that won't impact us until next budget.
That's correct.
Okay. Mr. Smith, may I make the motion to allow the Northern County Exchange LLC and Ashton Cannon to purchase a new bus to replace an existing 15-year bus that will be going out of service on August 27, 2022, bus number 10108, fiscal impact dollar amount of nothing and no budget source needed.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. Shane, you're back up.
Trying to make that 26 minutes, Mr. Smith.
Got you, girls. You got it.
Working on it.
All right, good evening again. Tonight, we bring before you the proposed FY 22-23 budget calendar for your review, input, comments. I'll go date by date. On October 6th, the CIP was submitted and approved by the school board. On October 29th, last Friday, budget request forms were issued to all departments and schools. On November 3rd, the proposed is the board approves the budget calendar with input. On November 19th, the budget request forms from the department and schools are going to be due to the finance office. On December 1st, the budget requests are going to be presented to the budget committee, and that's an all-day session. On December 6th, as well, another session. On December 9th, review and prioritize the budget requests. On December 17th, the budget roundtable meeting, and then in January 12th, the first budget work session, provide an update of the governor's proposed budget, take a look at the FY23 state aid as it is going to roll out the career ladder, CTE, full-day pre-K, so we can dive into those numbers. On the 19th is another budget work session. On February 16th, a budget work session. March 2nd, the superintendent's proposed budget will be presented for board vote, and then in April to present, hopefully, to the commissioners for the FY23 budget.
I don't have a calendar in front of me. What's January the 6th? What day that fall on?
January 6th is January 6th.
January 12th, I'm sorry.
12th is a Wednesday.
That's a regular scheduled work session.
No, it is an extra one.
It's an extra, yeah.
That could be between our board meeting and a work session.
Yes.
Correct.
19th is,
Is a regular
It's a
board work
regular
session.
it's the third week,
okay.
which we always use for budget anyway.
The 16th.
What I don't see on here is February 9th. We always had two meetings, two budget work sessions. We have our regular meeting on the 2nd, and then that second and the third week we use for budget if it was necessary.
The tentative one is scheduled for the 9th.
It's scheduled for the 9th.
It says tentative.
If it's tentative?
Yes, it's
Okay.
on my
So
calendar.
if needed, you can do it.
Because it's not on here, that's why I ask.
Yeah.
So February 9th is tentative,
We can add that.
Of course, thank you.
just in case we need it.
Sure,
Yes.
absolutely. I mean, we definitely
I
got
just
it on
need
the
the members need to
calendar.
put
We
it in
just-
their schedules if they
Correct,
can. And
sure,
if we don't have,
correct.
if somebody's not here, they can talk to Jane or Dr. Sanders.
We normally had 3 in January and 3 in February.
Yeah, and I do think that it is on your original calendar for a board work
Okay.
session, but it's just not on this particular budget calendar, but we'll update that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Good.
So you'll make those changes.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to vote on it, and I don't think there's any problem here. We have one new member coming on at some point, and then Helen will have to be back. But, there's a regular meeting, so Wednesday's
So
usually
do you-
in the spring.
Is it okay to go ahead and make the motion to accept the budget calendar for 2022?
I would say we make the motion, and if it has to be amended at some later date, we can always do that. But
We can't amend that, it's not a problem, but accept it now.
Yes, I
Okay,
have
so
any
may I
problem.
make a motion to,
I'd rather know what I'm doing. Sure. As much as possible.
I make a motion to accept the FY 22-23 proposed budget calendar?
Second.
And you could.
And that's with the change, or not, that's with it, putting in the February 9th.
Correct.
Yes.
With the adjustment.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0.
The next item that we bring before you tonight is the approval of the FY21 audited financial statements as presented this evening.
That's what you presented to us earlier in the evening.
Correct.
Do we have any questions on that?
Nope.
Sir, may I make a motion to accept the independent audit report for FY '21 as presented by the TGM Group?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0.
I promise the last item here tonight
We love talking to you, Jane, come on.
Roll.
is the transfer request for ending October 21st. Now, the transfer request is going to be a budget amendment number 2 for the unrestricted budget. Since the adoption of the budget, we have a couple different categories that needs funding, and the first one would be administration. We had 3 people resign with annual leave payouts per their negotiated agreements, so we're asking for a $26,933 in administration, and that is going to become from fixed charges. There's some savings identified under fixed charges, so we'll roll that from category 12 up to category 1. The next one, student services. Student services, we need to account for leave payouts and a position reclassification of $42,000. Special education, an item of note here, under non-public, they went from 11 to 10, so there was 43,000 savings, so we're going to go ahead and use that savings and transfer into student health. The next one is maintenance. There's identified savings under fixed charges that we need for salary, for annual leave payouts, as well as what was brought before you this evening with Johnson Control of the $29,000 and change to bring into the maintenance account of $45,000. And then in capital outlay, this is going to be the reclassification of capital expenditures to bring in, and that's under category 15 of 1.4, and that will be from, as we talked tonight about the fund balance of 4.9, this would actually take from that 4.9.
This is reviewing, and because we've been talking about this, reviewing our capital outlay expenditures that we've discussed with the commissioners too, about making sure we're in compliance on all areas.
Correct.
And we've discussed that with the commissioners and going to work that out as far as it could be a change in next year's capital budget.
Correct, to align with COMAR's requirements that they have for us now.
Mr. Smith, may I make a motion to approve the transfer request with budget amendment number 2 for FY 2022 to be sent over to the county commissioners?
Second?
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, there. When we send that over, I just put a little hand note if you need me to, that, we don't have our full capital budget this year, and we want to make sure everybody is still aware of that.
Yes.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody signed up for public comment? Our next work session will be November the 17th, and our first meeting in December will be December the 1st for our regular next board meeting. Do I have any other things for the calls? Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. 3. Look at that.
Wrong again.
Those 2 words that we can have.